can see that your deal was nowhere.
That's right. That's right.
Baby, I'm through with you.
That's right.
You hear me talking,
That's right.
I'm really squawking.
That's right.
So start walking, baby, I'm really through with you.
That's right.
I've had some schooling,
That's right.
and I won't stand no fooling.
That's right.
So I'm coolin', baby, I'm really through with you. Now I used to love you, mama, I was very square, but now I don't mean maybe. I can see that your deal was nowhere.
That's right.
Goodbye forever,
That's right.
and I'll see you never.
That's right.
So I'm moving, baby, I'm really cool with you. Baby, my little baby. Baby, I'm really through with you. Lonesome train on.
Oh, this is going to be the best show ever. I could feel it.
Yes, sir.
I feel it down there.
It's West Coast Ramble. Tonight we're talking SoCal Rockabilly from the 80s till now with the Rockin' Rebels. Then we've got Gretsch guitar slinger Jessica Kaczmarek in the Sandbox. And these guys have a few opinions about the movie La Bamba on our new segment, Rockin' and Reelin'. With your host, Big Sandy, Pope Paul, and me, Tom. It's West Coast Ramble.
You know. Hey,
It's
hey,
West
stop
Coast
that,
Ramble.
stop that. Look what happened.
Tonight we're talking SoCal Rockabilly from the 80s till now with
That's
the...
weird. Hey, friends, this is great. I love live television.
Tell us.
There we go. Hey, man, it's fun. What are you
It's
laughing
Saturday night.
What are you laughing at, Big Sandy?
It's Saturday night. I'm just happy down there.
All right, yeah. I don't know what that means, Big Sandy. I don't know what that means. Friends, it's West Coast Ramble. And who doesn't love a little bit of confusion at the beginning of the day? We do. That's why you're here, because you love it too. Hey, Big Sandy, what have you been doing all week, sir?
Well, rocking and rolling and whatnot. I'm getting into the movie, rock and roll movie mood, you see. You know what? Today, I got to hang out with my dad. We did a pre-Father's Day lunch. And that right there made my whole day. I missed him so much, and it was great to see my dad. And he's doing well, for those of you who have been asking.
Cool. All right. And then, and also, my good friend Paul, what have you been doing this week, sir?
Well, I was really fortunate. The music shop I work at opened up to have lessons in the shop, limited capacity. And last Sunday, I played with my illegals down at Shenanigans, and it was really fun. It was, a lot of people there, a lot of people wearing masks, but can't dance yet, but you can still rock. So it was pretty cool.
Right on. And who cares what I did? I just did normal things. But
Hey, Tom, what did you do?
Well, well, I don't know. I just went to a graduation party for some neighbor kids. It's pretty cool. Made me feel a lot older. But I did want to say this about one thing. I had one thing to say. We still have shirts. For $30 donation, you get one of these. And it comes in fine cotton, and I'll ship it right to you, includes the shipping. And several people have got one of these, and they seem to like it. So welcome to that. And also, for any donation that is $10 or more, just go ahead and add your address to that, and I'll send you one of these fine stickers that doesn't fade on the car. It's got like a nice plastic coating on it. So anyways, we got high quality gifts here for your donations, and I'm going to put up the donation thing here. Where is it at? Oh, it's there for Venmo, and you got PayPal. So help us out if you feel like it. If not, we're just glad you're here, because this is the best show ever. It's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time about rockabilly on the internet right now. Okay, friends, you about ready to get started with this thing? Paul, what's going on this show? Tell the people.
I'm excited. I know in the sandbox we're gonna have a killer guitar player, Miss Jessica. She's gonna be playing, and then we're gonna introduce a new game. So stay on the edge of your seat for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I get to be a little more judgmental. I'm excited. And then we're gonna wrap the show up with one of my favorite bands, the Rockin' Rebels, that the Deluxe Brothers and the Illegals both have been able to open up for. So I'm excited to hear those guys.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to say, Tracy wrote in and said, "Hey, Tom, we care. What do you do? What did you do?" Well, Tracy. Actually,
How do you do?
I went to the lake yesterday, which was quite nice, but we don't need to talk about it. This is not a lake show. This is a rock and roll show. Let's talk about rock and roll. And that means Big Sandy. You got the first segment, sir. I'm going to put you up here, and then we're going to play the promo for Big Sandy Sandbox. Are you ready for this, sir?
Roll the clip.
Roll in the clip.
Big Sandy Sandbox.
You, sir. What's going on, Big Sandy?
Well, I'll tell you what. This next guest in the sandbox here has been a friend of mine for a long time. I'm really proud of her because she's always been like such a talent in our local scene. But she's been, it seems like, and this is going back 20 years ago or something or more. I lose track of time. But it seems like she has more going on nowadays than ever, and more people are becoming aware of her talent. So we welcome to the show Jessica Kaczmarek right there. How you doing, Jessica?
Hey, you all.
Good, wonderful to see you.
You as always, Robert, my friend.
Oh, hey, I like that the album, the Santo and Johnny album behind over your shoulder there. Yeah.
It's a little taste for you.
And that ties in with our movie that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But enough of that.
There you go.
Jessica, let's jump right in it. If you heard the intro, I mentioned how we've been knowing each other for a long time, kind of going back to the heyday of the Doll Hut, where you played with the Bus Stop Hurricanes and then with Russell Scott and the Red Hots. But it seems like you're doing more than ever right now. Like for instance, right off the bat, the first thing I noticed when I look at some of the promo pictures is the Gretsch endorsement that you have. How did that come about?
Straight vodka, by the way. Actually, a friend of mine that knew me from the Doll Hut days, Anthony Red Horse, plays in the Rockets, nice, fine rockabilly band, and used to see me with Russell all the time on the Rockabilly Thursdays at Linda's Doll Hut. And I was playing a show at the Maui Sugar Mill, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I remember you from Muscle, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Hey, do you have an endorsement? Are you hooked up with Gretsch?" And I said, "No, but I would love to be." And he said, "Well, let's make that happen." So I'm like, okay. So that's just how it came about. Was just an old friend who remembered me from way back when, and who works for the company, and ended up talking with Joe, which I know you know.
Yeah. Lovely man. Yeah.
Great guy, very great guy. I call him the Gretsch father, and really sweet man. And just ended up talking with him, and now I'm in the Gretsch family. So I'm pretty happy.
That's fantastic, and it's a really great family. And like I said, Joe is just such a lovely guy. I noticed on your post for the show that he liked it. So maybe Joe's watching. If you're watching right now, Joe, it'd be kind of nice to have a Gretsch. We could use a sponsor or two to help us out here at West Coast Ramble. But anyway. I started out mentioning the Bus Stop Hurricanes, which is the first time I saw you play was when you were walking across the bar at the Doll Hut. Was that the first band that you were in, Jessica?
Yeah, well, the first band, I would like to admit being in.
Okay.
As every musician has, you have some bands that are just whatever, but yeah, that was the first band I was officially in that was a real band. And actually, I went to a party in Fullerton, and a friend invited me to it. And they were playing in the room, and my friend actually asked the other guitar player of the band if I could play the guitar, and they were taking a break, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm not playing. I'm not using it, so go ahead." So they went in the other room, and they started playing a little bit, and they all started kind of popping their head around the door and came out and started playing with me. And then later, I think the singer set the drum kit on fire, and after that, I was in the band. So.
That's you kids at home. That's all it takes. Yeah. It's funny because I met Tom at a house party in Fullerton. That's how I ended up getting into the band too. But and then of course there's a lot even more people of my circle of friends that really got to know you when you were playing with Russell Scott. Now Russell he's always had a line of great guitar players. And you just fit right in there. Did you come to know him just through like hanging out at the Doll Hut, or how did that association begin?
Yeah, we got to know each other because with my old band, Bust Off Hurricanes, Linda, whoever was booking would always put us on the Rockabilly Thursdays because they didn't know what to do with us because it was garage rock, kind of surfy, loungy, kind of a little bit of rockabilly too. So they'd always put us on there, and before people knew the band, everybody hated us, so they just wanted rockabilly. But they usually put for Russell, and so I got to know Russell then, and we became really, really good friends. And then he told me, Gene, who was just amazing, Gene Harmio, now Gene Edwards, who plays with Dwight Yoakam. He's amazing and one of the sweetest guys and amazing guitar player. I always loved watching him. And I remember Russell telling me one night after our show at the Doll Hut that, hey, Gene's leaving, and I need a guitar player. Would you want to play with us? I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So it just kind of clicked from there.
Well, I just have such fond memories of that period of time, and I know we had a chance to hang out a lot more back then, and little after hours drinkage, and just great memories of that. Can I ask you something? What does the name, the artist formerly known as Prince, mean to you? Has that figured into your life at all at any point?
I might kind of ring a little bit of a bell, I think. Yeah. Actually, a mutual friend of ours, I think you know as well, John Panel, quite a while ago, I think it was about 2000, I hadn't talked to him in quite a while, and I got just an email from him saying that there was a lady at a PR agency who was looking for a hot female guitar tech, which I play guitars, I don't know how to fix them. So I called John that, and I said, yeah, I don't know how to fix them, and he wrote me back and he said, well, it's for Prince, so I think you want to do it. So I'm like, okay. So I sent in like a resume and stuff, and I kind of looked at some online things to watch, how to fix guitars a little bit, and then so I ended up making a video for Prince at his assistant's house, and I thought, okay, I haven't heard from him, it's been like 2 weeks, I guess nothing. So I just get a call one day in the afternoon, and it's the lady from Paisley Park, and she's like, hey, we're waiting for you. Prince is waiting for you. I'm like, what? I'm like, I just got out of the shower like 3 in the afternoon. Why? I don't know. And I said, well, I need to get dressed. It's going to take me like an hour to get there. And she's like, well, you need to get up here. He's waiting for you. He's been watching your video, and he wants to meet you because he needs a guitar tech. And so I get up there, and it's a huge mansion, and go into this big ballroom, and he's just, playing his guitar. And I asked her before, I said, what does he want me to do? And she said, I'll probably just want you to change the string or something. I'm like, okay. So I get there, and, he's playing with the band, and then, like, I look at him, and he looks at me, and then I just kind of waved at him, and what else am I going to do? I waved at Prince. It's kind of weird. And then so he just looks at the band, and he just stops them, and then he just walks this long ballroom down to me with his guitar on, just kind of like sauntering over to me. I'm like, oh God, like what's gonna happen? And he said, hey, I'm Prince. I'm like, I know. And
hi, I'm Prince.
He said, yeah, let me introduce you to the band. So he just introduced me to everybody. He's all this, blah 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 blah. And he's like, everybody, this is Jessica. And I'm like, if nothing else happens, that's cool enough right there. Yeah. And he's into me, and he said, I'd play this song. And it was Roller Coaster, the 70s Roller Coaster song. I never played it before, and I'm like, well, I'm sure I could figure it out. And he said, well, why don't you come play it then? I said, well, all right. So I come over, and they put one of his guitars on me, and then he's playing, and I'm trying to find kind of like what key it's in. And he looks at me like, no, don't play yet. And I'm like, great. So whenever I play, I'm going to suck, but we'll see what happens. And then he looks at the band, breaks it down, and it's just like down to the drum. And then he's giving me a little nod, so I start doing a solo, and then he just smiles and goes, yeah. And then we ended up playing Roller Coaster like, I don't know, 6 times in a row.
All right. And then, but so did you end up getting the gig or not?
No, I probably would not be sitting here with you if I
okay, right. The artist formerly known as Jessica. Yeah.
It came down to like two girls, me and another girl, because I'd seen the interview day. There was another girl walking out, and I don't know if she got it either. It was for a tour that he was going on. And actually more, it was, I remember asking the old guitar tech what the actual job was. And because once I was done, I played his guitars, like all his guitars were set up, and I played them all, and they played amazing. And, you know, I went to the bathroom, it was all decked out in like marble and purple, and you had like a Prince hand towel with like a symbol. I washed them, dried my hands on the Prince hand towel, and took the elevator down with the guitar tech, and I said, so does he like me? And he said, yeah, I think he likes you. And
yeah.
So what's the job? And he said, well, basically, if Prince has a party at 3 a.m, you show up and plug his guitar in. I said, I think I could do that. So it was a little bit of an eccentric kind of.
Well, I think even if it didn't pan out, at least you have just this amazing life story to tell, you know. And next time we have you on, we're gonna reenact that story in a little skit. Okay, so think about who you want to play the role of Prince. Jessica, I'm looking at the clock here. We have to move on a little bit here, but we have to talk about what some of your current projects. I know you've been working on some the scoring films. Is that still going on?
Yeah, I'm writing music for a documentary. It's actually about a Hollywood golden age PR man, David Marich, called The Man Behind the Golden Stars, and he's responsible for discovering Farrah Fawcett. He worked with you knew Frank Sinatra. He worked with Johnny Mathis and and he was all their agents. Dionne Warwick, even like the TV, like the Christopher Knight from the Brady Bunch. All these celebrities, Robert Wagner, Natalie Wood's husband and actor on his own part. So I've been doing music for that, and I'm really, really happy with that. That should be coming out in winter, so people can look for that.
Well, we'll look for that, and I know you have another project that's going to be released soon too. So maybe we can have you on again so we can talk more at length. But can we hear just a little bit on the guitar before we move on to the show? We want to hear what Prince was so impressed with.
You want me to play Roller Coaster? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, can you play roller? But only when I point to you.
Yeah. I got a little bit of my song I play, if you don't mind me playing a bit of it. Is that cool?
Yeah, please do.
What's that mean to you? When I was a young girl, my mama said, now darling, don't you play with fire. When I grew to 18, thought I'd take a chance, and I met you. I started to think, when I get myself together, get my life out of ruin, all that's still nothing better than burning up in you love right down in your ground, right down in the ground. Gonna burn it down.
Hell yeah.
That's beautiful. And a little added bonus there. I don't know if you were going to sing. That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Jessica Kaczmarek there. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you, and I hope we cross paths in person before too long.
Oh, as well. I miss you, Robert.
I miss you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping into the sandbox with me. I'll see you now. Bye, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that was the sandbox, of course, with Big Sandy. Now, friends, look at, you need this camera. Look at this one. Hey, now we got something going on here. We got our new game. And friends, I know you guys like music and you like listening to records and all that stuff, but do you like movies about musical stuff? And even if you don't, that's good, because you've probably seen all those movies like Buddy Holly, La Bamba, American Graffiti, all those movies, and you probably have opinions about them. Maybe they influenced you. Well, anyways, that's what this game is about. It's not a game, it's a debate. We got some friends who are going to talk about the movie La Bamba, and my good friend Paul Boyer, he's going to judge it. Look at this guy with the hair. Paul, are you ready to judge this game? Okay.
I am so ready,
right.
because ever since my very first victory on the other game, you've never given me another chance to win. So now I'm ready to ruin other people's days.
Okay. All right. We got our,
That's hilarious.
Okay, before we get started, before we get started, friends, we're going to go ahead and play this promo. Let's roll the promo for our new game, Rockin' and Reelin'.
Get ready. It's the movie debate.
Okay, so here we're going to introduce our contestants first. Of course, you know Big Sandy. He's going to be in here. Hello, Big Sandy. He's going to be one of our contestants. Mm-hmm. And then we've got our judge, Paul, the guy with the hair. And here's our other contestant, all the way from Hollywood, California, Dave Stuckey. Say hello, Dave.
Hello. One and all.
Do?
Okay. And I'm going to get rid of me, and I'm going to put up, here's JP McDermott, the other contestant. Hello, JP. Hey, what do you know? We got all four of you guys. Okay, friends. Now, before we get started on this, we're going to do La Bamba, and I need to play the La Bamba trailer. And this is so you can, fans at home, you're going to watch this trailer, going to give you a refresher on the movie, but I also want you to comment, and we want to hear what your opinion is about this movie as we go. Maybe you agree with our friends, or maybe you don't. We'd like to hear from you. Here we go. Here's the roll the trailer.
In 1957, Ricardo Valenzuela had his family, his talent, and a dream.
Rock and roll.
Come on, baby, just rock.
Look at my Richie. He's shining like a star.
I really dig your music, and I'd like to record it.
Oh, Richie, I'm so happy.
By 17,
Your professional name? Richie Valens.
he was a star.
I love you, Donna. You know, I'm still gonna marry you one of these days.
With 3 hits on the charts.
Holly is lining up a plane to fly us on to Fargo tonight.
Hey, come on, let's go!
But one tragic night in 1959, his star fell.
Not Richie.
Columbia Pictures presents La Bamba. The legend of Richie Valens. A true story. La Bamba.
Good, JP, you're good.
All right. Did you see our promo for La Bamba? There,
The big
trailer.
powder.
Friends, are we ready to get started? And we want to hear your opinions about this game. And is my audio up? You need to hear me better? Or I just turned it up. There we go. Okay, so let's get JP back up here. Let's get Dave Stuckey back up here. Oh, sorry. Get rid of me. Get rid of me. Let's do JP, Dave, Robert, and Paul. Okay, friends, we're going to get right into this thing. The movie La Bamba. We all have opinions. JP, we're going to start with you, sir. We want to hear... You got 30 seconds to give us your overview of the movie, your personal take, and how did La Bamba influence you? JP McDermott, go.
Well, La Bamba influenced me. I had a much different response to it 30 years later than I did originally. I went to see the movie because I was a big Marshall Crenshaw fan and a big Los Lobos fan. Didn't know much about Richie Valens at all because he wasn't that big a deal on the East Coast. There's like a whole different scene out there. Like Eddie Cochran, Richie Valens are not the gods in the DC area. But I went to see the movie, and it was good. You know, it was no Buddy Holly story, but it was good. Seeing it years later, my reaction was, I'm so glad a white guy did not direct that film because it's more a movie, it seems to me, about the Mexican-American experience in the Valley in the 50s than it is about, you know, rock and roll. Because there isn't much Richie Valens story to tell. His whole career is like 14 months long from the time he had his first garage gig to the time he was gone. So that's how it hit me.
Dave Stuckey, your opinion on the La Bamba movie. Go, sir.
Yes. Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I will say the outset that I actually cut the music video for this movie. The Los Lobos performing the title track. We did it at a carnival downtown LA, and it was a lot of fun. And I was all excited to be around Los Lobos, and so seeing the movie and seeing it now in retrospect, it's a charming little movie that doesn't necessarily fall into the traps that music biographies usually fall into. I think by and large, it's kind of an innocent, kind of reminds me of a 50s biopic, like the Glenn Miller story or something. It's very, it's just very, you know, it seems pretty honest. Not all the performances are right on it, but most of them are, I would say. So usually, at the risk of being penalized, I usually don't like these kind of movies. But this really kind of holds up for me, honestly.
Really?
Wow. I'm shocked.
La Bamba, Big Sandy, your opinion, go.
Okay, it was a pretty special movie for me, and for a lot of me and my friends. It was an event. I remember when we saw the trailers, and you know, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I was super excited for it, as we all were. Like I remember, we all jumped. You know, we all caravan, piling up in each other's cars. I had a '56 Bel Air at the time, and I think you had a pickup truck, Tom. And but anyway, we all caravanned over to the Cinedome movie theater here in Orange. And it was just like it was a kind of a happening for us. It was like the first big movie like that of my little rockabilly years, that where our scene was being, or what we thought of as being our music being portrayed up on the big screen. Even, you know, of course I saw the problems, and I, you know, just kind of, well, that guitar is not right, or things that didn't follow the timeline, a lot of anachronisms, like this thing's way out of date. But I still enjoyed it, although I would have enjoyed it much more if it had been released like 5 years earlier. Yeah. Just who I was earlier, I would have enjoyed it that much more. But I dug it.
Very good. That was everyone's overview on the movie La Bamba. And now, Pope Paul, who scored the best on that answer, sir? Let's go for it.
All right, totally unbiased. But right now we got JP 6 points. We got Big Sandy at 5, and we got Dave at 4.
Whoa!
I feel like JP got more points out and less, you know, what's going on at his time in the live kind of thing.
Okay, I do have to make a clarification because we had a technical difficulty, and I don't know if everyone heard, Dave Stuckey used to be an editor before he became a full-time musician, and he actually cut the video for Los Lobos for La Bamba. So did you give him any points for that, Paul?
No.
I did, but he talked about it for so long. He ran it. There was any.
What?
Hey,
he's leaving.
Hey, you know what's funny? I something went screwy with my mic stop. I stopped hearing the sound in my ears, and it started playing on my laptop, and so I had to turn that off. So I missed all of Dave's answer. So I have no opinion on your scoring, but I have a feeling it was probably worth a couple more points than that. Anyway, next.
Okay, hey, Paul is the judge.
I'm fully in favor of the scoring.
Okay, friends, then you're gonna be. Here we go with this. Now it's gonna really get heavy, and Dave is gonna start this question. Oh. Here's the question. What slightly bugged you about the movie, and what were any unforgivable sins in the movie?
I will say just number one, really. I don't have a lot of things. There's a lot of like Big Sandy says, there's a lot of small things. I'm no motorcycle expert, but I'm guessing none of those choppers are time appropriate. Little things like that, guitars. The unforgivable thing for me is like using George Thorogood to do "Who Do You Love" for the title sequence. I mean, come on. Bo Diddley was around then. He could have, I mean, that's. But the rest of it, I don't know. I didn't have a ton of problems with. Well, I did. But one thing I caught that was very funny when he auditions for Rudy and the Silhouettes.
Yeah.
This is just on the repeat watching, in the garage, and Rudy's watching him like, like getting a little intimidated. The mouthpiece on his sax is upside down.
That's the way they did it back then. Wait, well,
and then he just starts blowing,
as JP said, they were Mexican.
Whoa.
Wait, Rudy wasn't.
Oh. Okay, take 5 points away.
All right. Since Big Sandy's talking right now, Big Sandy, what slightly bugged you about La Bamba, and what were any unforgivable sins in the production of La Bamba, sir?
The unforgivable sin bugged me slightly, more than slightly. It was something that bugged me right away, even before I saw the film. I just saw the trailer. The casting of Lou Diamond Phillips as Richie Valens. I don't have a problem with Lou Diamond Phillips as an actor, but I just don't think he looks anything like him. I just his approach to how he played him, Richie, I don't think was a. Well, he wasn't like a lightweight pretty boy.
Yeah.
He was like a real guy. It just kind of, and forever from that point on, the likeness of Lou Diamond Phillips became what people thought of as being Richie Valens. So much so that our friend Jason Goodman, who at that time looked a lot like Lou Diamond Phillips, people started calling him Richie Valens. Man, you look exactly like Richie Valens. I think, no, he doesn't. He looks like Lou Diamond Phillips. So that is probably the overriding thing, that bugged me about the movie. And as it turns out, he's in it the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't change him out in the middle of the movie. J.P. McDermott, what slightly bugged you about it, and what were the unforgivable sin of this movie, sir?
There wasn't that much that slightly bugged me. The unforgivable sin was that Lou Diamond Phillips has never seen a guitar before. I've never seen anybody more uncomfortable with a guitar in his hands. He holds a guitar like a bikini model or something.
Or like a Bible.
When he's walking with his harmony, it's going to fall off his shoulder. Nobody who has a guitar and has ever walked with a guitar would walk with it like that, and he does it the whole movie. It took me right out of the movie. The women in the movie are incredible actresses. There's all this great stuff going on, and Lou Diamond Phillips is going to drop that fucking guitar, and it's all going to be over.
Oh, God.
That, of course, is the most.
He's commenting here. He wants to fight you.
Okay, that means, Paul, it's time for you to make another score here. How are the boys doing?
You would not believe it, guys. Out of complete fairness, we are all tied up at 10 now.
What?
All right.
Dave, you had a lot of good points this last question, and JP, you got a point for every way you described the guitar shouldn't be. That was awesome. And Robert, you made some great points too. Like, I knew what Richard Valens looks like from his LP covers. I knew he was chubby faced and all that. And when I first saw that movie as a kid, I even asked my grandma. I was like, Richie Valens is white? She's like, no.
Okay, hey friends, I'd like to do an audible right here because Dan Keegan has one comment, and maybe you could do a quick comment on this. He says, Dan Keegan says,
Keegan's comments. New segment.
Brian Setzer as Eddie Cochran? ? Dave Stuckey, what do you think about that real quick, sir?
Well, these kind of things, it kind of goes around with the Lou Diamond Phillips thing, is that I don't expect them to be. Richie Valens is not necessarily photogenic. Producers for these things are not going to go with, they're just going to go with the easy. They're going to go with the supermodel holding the guitar. And I think the same thing, I didn't think, when it's kind of watching it again, I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to hate this. Brian said he's okay. Marshall Crenshaw's fine. It didn't really, Howard Huntsman almost steals the movie, I think, with his one little tune at the theater. Yeah. Man, he is fantastic. He's really the only one that reads like he's at a show and he's selling it at a show. But that, it's that other stuff. I just don't expect it to be right.
Yeah. JP McDermott, Brian Setzer as Eddie Cochran. Go.
It's 1987. Who else are you going to get? You already had, David do it. So, Brian Setzer. It's easy. It bugged me he was playing the wrong Gretsch, but that's just an thing on my part. But
a Gretsch nonetheless. Joe. Joe.
All right. Big Sandy.
Oh, I just think short answer. Think about a movie coming out that time. You want to sell tickets. If you can get Brian Setzer, you use Brian Setzer. That's
right.
Yeah.
And who's our next guest on the next West Coast Ramble? Brian Setzer?
Not Brian Setzer.
Okay, it's not Brian. All right. Hey,
Brian Setzer as Buddy Holly.
Hey, Paul. I know.
Am I frozen up?
No, you're good.
Am I moving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Paul. Can you score that, please?
Unfortunately, I'm waiting on this lightning round. We're still at 10 here. 10 on the board.
Okay, we're sticking with 10. Here we go.
I'm good with that.
We got one last question before we get to the lightning round, friends, and here it is. We're going to start with Big Sandy. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Went to the wrong page. When people okay. And this is
so. How did you get the name the Rockin' Rebels?
We're not there yet, sir. Okay. The question is.
Oh no!
When people
battery running low. Hold on, guys.
Okay. When people watch this film, JP, when people watch this film, what should they look for?
Oh, me or him?
No, I'm talking to JP.
Okay.
When people.
Oh, I thought it was Robert.
I'm sorry. Let's do JP. When people are when they watch this film, what should they look for? What should they take away?
Give me a moment. I think they should look for the performances of the women in the movie because they're great. I mean, the girl who plays Donna is a regular girl.
Yeah.
She does not come off as an actress. I went to high school with girls exactly like that. And actress playing Connie, Richie's mother, she's a force of nature. And she's a woman that I've met in bars in Southern California. She's just fantastic. And I think that for me is really the high point of the movie is the performances of the actresses.
Yeah. Okay, Dave Stuckey, what should people take away after watching this film?
Well, this sort of conflicts with my number one right thing about this coming up, but I'll just throw it out here now. I think they should remember and look for Los Lobos. That's the best thing they could have done is have Los Lobos do all the tracks for this thing. I mean, it's instant credibility. And I remember before the movie came out, and I knew that was the thing I was most excited about. So I think that's by far the best thing about this movie was them because they're just right on and they're just dead on it.
Yeah. Big Sandy, what should people take away after watching this movie, sir?
Well, I think what people should remember when watching the movie and repeat to themselves over and over, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it short because anyway.
Okay, friends, we're doing.
Yeah, that's all.
Paul.
I think they both knocked it out of the park there.
Paul, score this.
All right. Big Daddy, you're right. So we got Dave and JP, 12 apiece, and Robert, you're at 11.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
Thanks for the lightning round.
Okay.
Let's see what happens in the lightning round.
Okay, lightning.
Whoa! There's more.
Lightning round. Here we go. Quickly, you have to give like a 1 or 2 word answer. Let's knock this out. Lightning round. Here we go now. It is first question. We're going to start with Dave. Most memorable line. Go, Dave.
I won't do it with an accent, but put a little mota in our love life.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Big Sandy. Most memorable line.
Richie.
Oh.
I mean, that's the one that people you hear at shows all the time. JP
McDermott. Most memorable line.
Stars don't fall out of the sky, do they?
Oh, okay. Okay. Most annoying character. Let's go around. Dave.
Bob, no question. He's like a cartoon. Bob is like in a different movie than everybody else in this movie.
All right. Big Sandy. Most annoying character.
For me, Richie Valens, who happens to be the main character. For me, sorry.
JP McDermott, most annoying character.
I don't care if it costs me points. It's Bob. He's like watching a Cheech and Chong skit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
I have to disagree.
Okay.
With an honorable mention towards Rick Dees.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that with his haircut. Dave.
Rick
Dave
Disco Duck D's? Rick Disco Duck D's?
Okay, Dave Stuckey.
DJ.
Dave Stuckey.
Yes.
Number one mistake.
The number one mistake, Rick Dees.
JP McDermott.
No doubt about it.
Maybe JP McDermott. Number one mistake.
Leaving out Earl Palmer and Carol Kay in the Gold Star Studios stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Those records were so great because they had like the greatest backing band in the world, plus Richie Valens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Sandy. Number one mistake.
In an unprecedented move, I'm gonna have to go with that same answer. That's. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking about all these other nitpicky things, and that's egregious.
Okay.
I agree.
Very good. Here's our last question in the lightning round. What is the next movie we should review? Dave Stuckey, go.
The Girl Can't Help It.
Ooh.
Oh.
JP McDermott. Next movie we should review.
Perhaps the greatest rock and roll movie of all.
Probably.
Maybe.
Perhaps the greatest rock and roll movie of all time is Quadrophenia.
Okay.
That's the mods, sir.
I know. It's a little late. It's a little British, but it's a great movie.
Okay. Big Sandy.
You have to get Art Fine as a panelist, but American Hot Wax.
Oh,
yes, good one.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, friends, to conclude our game, Paul, who won this thing?
By 1 point at 19, beating out Robert's 18 points and Dave Stuckey's 16 points. JP McDermott.
My band member,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's an inside job, man.
Hey, that was fun.
Thanks,
I
sir.
thought
That was a ball.
It was kind of fun.
Okay, guys. Hey,
Thanks for having me.
well, I got to say thanks a lot, guys. I'd like to have you back. Let's do this again, sirs. Thank you very much.
Let's go get some hot sandwiches, some Italian beef very soon, huh? and we'll go to the Olive Pit
I'm down.
sometime before, maybe 2025.
Whatever.
Okay.
Whenever I can drink a beer with a mask, we're good.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.
Love you guys.
That was
Thanks, guys.
Rockin' and Reelin'. Hey, friends. Now, wasn't that a fun thing? And didn't that pay off for you? You know,
I tell you, Tom,
Yes,
I
sir.
had my doubts about it just as a concept. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And if you enjoyed it, let us in your comments and with your pocketbooks. No, I'm just joking.
No, that was fun. And I like all the comments and stuff. Keep the comments going. And Paul must be playing with JP next week. That's what Lloyd said. So that's why you did that, Paul. You scored JP the winner so you can get an extra gig out of him.
No,
I got rid out of that band.
I thought everybody had great answers all the way around, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that was great. Even Julie says we're great. Julie, good to see you again, Julie Abnett. You are the best.
I like how people are giving their suggestions for future movie topics.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love that. Okay, hey, Paul, how we doing on getting those Rockin' Rebels coming up? Hey, Big Sandy.
What?
Here's what I want to say about the Rockin' Rebels. We're bringing them up right now. But I did want to talk about when I was a child, I got this record, the LA Rockabilly album. And we had, it was so cool because you had your Stray Cat record. You know, you're a 14-year-old dude, and that's the Rockabilly record you get. You know a couple old songs. But when you got this one, it was like, if you're from Southern California, you're all, man, these are all my bands, you know. And it had like the Rockin' Rebels, the Paladins, James Invelt, the Red Devils, Billy Zoom. Like all these bands that you were like proud of, like they were your people. So
they were part of our world, and suddenly we felt legit. Somebody actually made a compilation album of our kind of music, of made up of bands that I go see all the time. To me, it was a life changer.
Yeah, and
sincerely, there's no hyperbole there. It really was.
Yeah, and the thing too is like when you would see these bands, like normally when you're a kid, like 14, you think every band is about the same. Like you could go to a stadium and see a band, or go to like a small club and see a band. To me, like they were the same. And the only difference is that you could go right up on stage and see them. You know, when the first time I saw the Rockin' Rebels, it was crazy. It was like at Cuckoo's Nest, and there's like hundreds of kids all my age, and all had like really big hair and everything. It was like overdone. And the Rockin' Rebels were like, they had rockabilly, but it was like a little bit of punk. There's that Southern California punk involved in it. So I love that. But without further ado, let's introduce guitar player, frontman. And what's that? You got Eddie? Oh, hold on a second. Is Eddie frozen?
Hold on. No, Eddie, you there, right?
I think he's frozen. Okay, hold on a second. Hey,
I'm getting somebody's calling from another. I think Jerry's trying to call into us, and it's creating the little confusion here.
okay, cool.
I'm trying to tell him to stop.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, Robert, that's what I don't know if like
Now
that's,
Josh Hill is call. Oh.
okay.
No. They're trying to call us. They need to wait for you to reach out to them. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm gonna do a little dance.
No, anyways, okay, Robert, I want to know on the LA Rockabilly album, what was your favorite song? Just tell me.
Well, okay, I have 3 favorite songs. 2 of them were because I had already been going to see the bands. James Infeld's song, My Heart Is Aching for You, and Let's Bop by the Rockin' Rebels. Those were my guys. I used to go to as many shows as I could. Also, a band I never really saw. I knew a couple of the guys, the Shakin' Snakes, Surrender.
That's right.
I think they kind of has this otherworldly sound about it that sounds like it could be an outtake from a Sun Session or something, or to me it's a very authentic sound. But altogether, all the way around, just a really great record.
Yeah, and the thing about like Shakin' Snakes, that had Jeff West or not Jeff West, but Jeff. I forget all my good friends played guitar on that, but also the bass player is now the guitar player for Elton John of all people. So
Yeah,
he started John Jorgensen. He started playing
Monster. Yeah.
He just started playing rockabilly, and then he ended up being this monster player. He used to play at Levi Dexter's band.
We got
That
Eddie
was
now. We got Eddie.
Hey, let's say hi to Eddie.
Hey,
Hello, Eddie.
Hey guys.
Hey man.
I
All
caught
right.
that. Caught that bit of the introduction. Thanks for that. I think Jerry's trying to get in. I think he's in now.
Yeah.
There we
hey,
go. There we go.
Hey.
And guys, before we start, I mentioned it in a post today that I tried to convey a little bit of my feelings. You guys have meant so much to me over the years, and you were always so encouraging to me. Once we had a chance to talk, I just want to thank you for your lifetime in music, and thanks for being on the show, Tom.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I just gotta echo that back to you. You guys having us on the show after all these years and the kind words that, I've heard you say over the years. And it's just really neat to be on the show with you still, recognized and we're all still doing it. And it's just thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah. Now, if you could let's just jump right into it. In the 80s rockabilly, I'm a 14-year-old kid, and I go to see the Rockin' Rebels at the Cuckoo's Nest, because it's sort of like that surf culture and all the stuff that we loved. And is that where you guys came out of? Where did you start? Because was it a little bit of punk with rockabilly, or how did you guys meld that sound that you guys had, which was a little faster, a little harder?
Well, that era was the punk era. So yeah, we were in the middle of that. The Blasters were a huge influence to us. And so that edginess of Jimmy and the Mustangs, the Blasters, that's really where we were at that point, that focal point, 1979, 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jerry and I went to high school together, and we were messing around playing surf music. I'd go to the Golden Bear, see Dick Dale, and see what kind of a showman he was. And then, I got my Eddie Cochran records and my Gene Vincent records. But then I got the first Ramones record, and I realized, that surf, that punk, the Dick Dale influence, the early, pop rock. And then Jerry and I just kind of had this natural energy together, and that's kind of what it came out of. And the first time I saw Jimmy and the Mustangs, they were opening up for a punk band out of Huntington called The Crowd. And I'm pretty sure the first time Jerry saw the Blasters was when they played at Ichabod's with
Jimmy and the Mustangs.
But it was the other punk band, not the Plimsolls, but the one that had Chuck Wagon in it. I'm trying to draw on a blank. Gigantor.
Oh, Dickie.
The Dickies. Yeah, the Incredible Shrinking Dickies.
So Jerry comes back.
If you remember Jerry Angel, the drummer, he was in that.
Oh yeah.
So
he played
Jerry,
with the. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Jerry came back from that show and he says, Eddie, I saw a band that's doing stuff like we do with like kind of an edge to it, real, the power chord thing like the Ramones are doing, and they're called the Blasters. I'm like, that's cool, man. I just saw Jimmy and the Mustangs open up and my family moved to Huntington Beach, which was a big change in my life because Jerry and I grew up in Mission Viejo and kind of isolated back in those days. And when I got thrown into the big city, quote unquote, Huntington Beach, there was a lot of punk rock going on in Huntington Beach. Highway 39 and all the different punk bands up and down. And then we got some opportunities to play places like the Cuckoo's Nest and Radio City. And it was a real cool thing. Wide open.
Yeah. Now, you guys were talking about, I talked to you in an interview before, and you got Let's Bop on the radio. Like for us, that was like, yeah, dude, our people got on K-Rock. How did you guys get on K-Rock radio? To let people know, Southern California, everything revolved around K-Rock when you were younger.
That was the station for young people.
It really started with Rodney Bingenheimer. And Eddie will say that he sent that cassette tape of She's My Angel, and he played it first time he got it. The first week it came in, he played it. So it was actually She's My Angel he played first before Let's Bop, because that was our first single.
So Jerry's a very tenacious promoter, and he would go and Rodney Bingenheimer would have late night breakfasts at the Denny's off of the 101 and like the 5 whatever, and Jerry would go and have breakfast with Rodney and chat with him, and he got to meet the poor man and things like that. Jerry would literally sleep at the radio stations to get our records on the radio. So I really the promotion of the Rockin' Rebels, a big part was Jerry Prefontaine making all those sacrifices to do that, so it was good times. And then, a lesser known maybe station was KNAC in Long Beach, and Jimmy the St. Christopher was a friend and a supporter of ours.
Yeah, man. And
we could literally drive there, like when Let's Bop came out, and we went to the lobby and we said, hey, we got this new record, and they phone up to the radio station, and Jimmy says, come on up, boys, and you guys got the Rockin' Rebels in the studio. Let's put your new record on. Sight unseen. I mean, I don't think that could happen today. It was like being in a movie. It was like being in a movie. It was really cool,
You guys, it was the very end of that period when you could still do that. But to hear your story, it's like, wait a minute, that's what happened. You're right. That's what you see in these old movies, like a coal miner's daughter. Like, we're gonna hit every radio station, and like.
Exactly, the Red Lynn driving around.
But you guys were at the end of a certain era.
Well,
and to me, it's amazing that you're still continuing.
You remember college radio was huge at that time. So I would put out 45s in the mail, 80 at one time, just to college. And they would play it. And that's how we got UCI. We did UCLA, USC. I mean, we spent the night in the girls' dorm at San Diego. I mean, who does this? It's nuts.
Jerry Prefontaine does that, tell you.
funny story. The Blasters were always really good to us, and we got to open up for them at the Roxy, and that was a big break for us. And that went crazy that night. And I know Jerry can think of that. And we had shows at the Whiskey A Go Go. I know, we're mainly an Orange County band, but we just some killer shows with like X, the Blasters, the Red Devils, James Enfield, and the Rockin' Rebels. All at the Whiskey A Go Go on one night. They were just really magical nights. And just to touch on what X did for us, the Blasters. So Dave Alvin says, hey, you need to go out and meet Fred Burgoyce at Bug Music because you got that song Let's Bop. You should get it published. I go, okay. So I go up and I meet Fred, and he goes, yeah, it's a pretty good tune. And I'm driving. He goes, I'll get back to you. Maybe we'll do a publishing contract. And then Jerry's getting the record played on the radio, and I'm literally driving home. And by the time I drive home, Fred Burgoyce calls me up and said, I heard that song on the radio. We got to sign you. We got to get that publishing deal going for you. So it was like, Jerry's work, the connection with Dave Alvin, just being in the right place at the right time. But again, I credit a lot to Jerry and his hard work, So
man, but
it's really
also cool. you mentioned in passing, Dave. I think of all the other people he's helped out over the years, man. And you mentioned Dave Alvin, who got us into Capitol Records to record. I know you guys were recorded there too, but the end of the tower and that's the thing with you guys. You guys have always been supportive of other bands, and I love to see that. Next question.
Hey, Paul, you had a question?
I was just gonna nerd out really quick and say I do have a radio copy LP of your guys' first album, and it's signed to Sylvia, and thanks for all the help. I think it's really cool. I found this somewhere like in Temecula, I think, digging through records.
And that's probably one that you did you hand deliver that one, Jerry?
Yeah, Sylvia was another DJ that I had basically given every single one of our records to. So yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
Jer, earlier when we did a little sound check earlier, and before you put the red shirt on, I was looking at that MTV, that old school MTV T-shirt. Just if you could tell us how. I tell you what, You guys, tell us about. I know a little bit about it. Tell us about the MTV experience, how that happened.
Yeah, so there was a contest, and it was like 1981, and they were trying to get new bands to come on. And so it just happened that Let's Bop was just exploding everywhere. And they said, you've got to have a video for this. This is how it works. This is how you get gigs. This is the new way of doing things. And MTV was brand new. I mean, literally a year old. So we did this. I did this storyboard with a guy named Ken Berry at Saddleback College. And we did it in 2 sites. We did it at Saddleback College, and we also did it out in Trabuco Canyon. So we had 2 sites. If you ever watch it, that's where we're at. And then all of a sudden they had this contest. So I mailed in the 1-inch copy. It had to be a 1-inch copy. So we had to bump it up, get it in. They looked at it. They said, you guys are perfect for this. And so it came in. We ended up being in the competition, and then ended up being in the rotation. I saw it 3 or 4 times, right after that.
We were all waiting around the TV because we had just got cable TV, and I wanted it just so I could watch MTV, and it just made everything legitimate. Like this music I'm into, like, oh, look, they're on MTV, because that was, even within that year, MTV became such a huge deal, and this band that I go to see is on there in front of the entire world, the country, but I know it ended up becoming a worldwide thing,
It did go worldwide.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They had different segments. Another thing, too, I wanted just to mention, too, Robert, was another thing that you're very involved with is VFW halls, like the Eddie Cochran one, and then the one in Tehachapi. And I just want to let people know this is a big deal. I mean, Eddie's father was a veteran of foreign wars, and I'm not going to get too far into this, but this year it got canceled. And, those people, they make all their money in one weekend. And it's from the Western Swing Out. They're not doing it this year. So what they're doing is they're doing a benefit on July 4th just for the VFW hall. All the money's going to the veterans because they need it.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And
you don't have to go into it quickly. It's worth talking about it. So tell people how they can.
This is how you can do it. You can Tehachapi VFW hall, or you can come down on 4th of July and give and hang out with us. It's going to be an outside show where they're going to have different groups. I'm actually playing with Carl Sonny Leland.
Oh,
hell yeah, dude.
It's going to be fantastic. And it's 4th of July. Come down early. It's going to be all day from 11 to 11. And all the proceeds go to the veterans just to keep the hall open so they don't shut the doors. And
thank you for doing that, Jerry.
No,
way cool, man.
Our veterans are everything to us. And Eddie's dad was a vet. And I just, I love Eddie's dad. He was like so important to me. And I think of all these people, and we really, really, really need to support. And if you can support the veterans, whether it's this hall or another hall, we need to do it.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
I had another question too. I know before we get into that. Now, when you go to the gigs now, people are a little bit more subdued. Everyone's a little bit older and they dress a little different. But when when we were a kid and we went to those gigs, you never knew what was going to happen. If there was going to be like a mosh pit, or if there were going to be people breakdancing. Like I saw,
or a rumble.
Yeah, or like people fighting in the parking lot. All that, all that testosterone stuff. Can you just tell me a couple crazy things that happened back in the day that obviously wouldn't happen now, but when you were on the stage back then, what's the craziest thing happened?
Why don't each of them tell their one story, and then Paul can score it? What's your wildest story?
All right.
San Diego at the Casbah, and we're playing there. And Robert, you know the Casbah well. But when it was punk rock, it was loogie time. And they would spit and spit and spit. And I would look over at Eddie, and we were just drenched. I mean, stuff was... It just went on, and we're like, really, this is what music's about, that we have to put up with this? And that was it for me. I'm like, dude, if I have to keep doing this, I'm done.
Eddie.
It was a transition, though, and I'll echo that, and the same thing would happen at the Cuckoo's Nest. So we'd show up at the Cuckoo's Nest, and let's say, we were opening up for Agent Orange or some, local punk rock band, and pretty heavy stuff. And Jerry and I used to go to the early punk shows, so we know what it was about, but we really got into the rockabilly, the roots thing, and we kind of had a mission. We wanted to, I don't want to sound like too dramatic about it, but I wanted to save some people. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with punk rock, and I love the energy, but there's a dark side of it. And we would go through the crowd to get to the stage, and people would be trying to mess up your hair. They'd be poking at you. You get on stage, a couple of loogies at you, But we were on a mission. We weren't going to be deterred. And what was really cool was as the months went by, it started flipping, let's say 25% rockabilly supporters. And there were some fights, you know, and then it'd be like 50-50, all of a sudden 75. And pretty soon we were ruling the roost at the cuckoo's nest, if you will. And it was a really cool transition to see. And not that we're any angels and we got into plenty of trouble ourselves, but it was just something that I really felt good about. We were on a mission, and it was good to see. It was really cool.
It happened in San Clemente too. We used to play this thing for Crazy Eddie. He had all punk gigs, and we started out there. But when the Rockin' Rebels would play, we get all the rockabilly guys down there, and it changed. It was all swing dancers at the end, and it was just like Eddie said, it just flipped. And
I did like the combined shows back then because. I like the energy. It would shift during the course of the night. And, you know, when your band was on, you'd move to the front of the stage. It was kind of a cool thing because there was some connections, maybe not musically, but in spirit. We were all kind of bucking the mainstream trends, all of us.
Right.
Even though there was differences in our music, but the spirit was there between the punk rock thing and the rockabilly thing. And anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I gotta go.
It was real music with urgency. You know, it was played from, you know, it was just played with a lot of passion and urgency, whether it's punk rock or rockabilly. And I still say that rockabilly was the punk rock of the 50s. You look at Elvis doing Blue Moon of Kentucky.
That's always been my thing. Absolutely.
You look at, you just look at just crazy.
Ray Harris.
Yeah, Ray Harris.
Amen.
Doing, Come On Little Mama. It was just raw and to the bone, and that's what punk rock was.
but I tell you what, maybe to some people it might seem like a stretch, but even when you would play Eddie, you would write some sweet songs too. It wasn't completely punk rock, but the kids would still be going nuts. I always thought you were a romantic at heart, so you're not fooling me with this whole punk rock ethic thing. I know you're a romantic at heart, but people responded to that in a visceral way. But the kids would still be out there all like, rah, like getting really wound up. But I know I was there at those shows, man. And that touched my heart. I'm a romantic sort of fella.
Yeah,
I don't know if you it's like old Richie Valens.
Yeah, absolutely. Your doo-wop CD, I still have it. I love it. And doo-wop is one. I love bluegrass, the urgency. I love rockabilly. I like punk rock. But doo-wop, Earth Angel, There Goes My Baby. Those are some of my in One Summer Night by the Dan Lears. Those are like three of my favorite songs in the world.
Those are
and that's not punk at all. That's vocal group stuff.
But you know what though? But to me, it is though, because it's just it's emotion. I feel as much emotion for that to One Summer Night or There Goes My Baby as I do when you guys would cut into Untamed Youth. The crowd, you destroy the audience when you play Untamed Youth. But I feel the same sort of emotion, even though it's very different. But there's a connection there. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Passion. Yeah.
Well,
really quick. I know I like my last question is like, you guys are like rockabilly royalty, and you guys had the MTV, all this awesome exposure. But what was it like to play your first Viva? I think it was maybe last year or just 2 years ago. That's still a highlight.
How funny it took so long to get you on there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but anyway,
different world, as you know, Robert.
Yeah.
It didn't go through the 80s in California. He was basically in London. So he missed that. If you weren't the Stray Cats or James Invelt in Crybaby, you didn't know anything about, American rockabilly, like who we were and what was going on. Even the Blasters. I don't remember. Blasters may have played once, but other than that, they weren't big at Viva either. So it was a real honor that we got asked to play last year. And I tell you, the place went absolutely banana crackers when we got up there and played.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah, it was a lot of energy, Paul. And it was really cool because you have highlights, and sometimes I never try and take for granted any of our live shows because they're all magical. But that one was a later life highlight. Hey, we've never done Viva. We did Viva. I'm not bragging, but the place exploded. It was crazy. Jerry and I got in an argument right before a little bit of an argument. And when my adrenaline gets going, we were fit to be tied, man. It was gonna happen. It was going down, and it did. It's awesome. So it was late, but
wait a minute. There's something happening here. Jerry you will talk the same way about like the best show of your life as you will about like a fantastic meal. It's over the top, the best ever. And I know it's sincere from your heart. Eddie, for Eddie to be that enthusiastic about the show, because you just kind of lay back and wait for Jerry to say his thing. To hear you talk, as you're saying, that's one of the best moments of this, the more recent part of your career. Man,
it was
that
cool.
really says something to
It was
me.
cool, super cool, and we met so many people from all over the world because everybody comes there for that show, and people were coming up and talking to Jerry and I, and we're signing autographs, selling merchandise, whatever. But people from all over the world saying, "I got this. I know you from that. I'm from Denmark. I'm from Australia. I'm from Japan." And like, wow, it's like rockabilly's still alive and well. And thanks to people like you, Robert, doing it, going out and keeping this happening, and Paul and everybody out there working the road and all that. It was really satisfying. We're all getting older. We never know how long we have on this planet, and it was a really rewarding experience to have all those people come up and get that feedback at 60 years old. It was just really cool.
Wow. Is that where you're at these days, then? Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Well, I'm over 60 now, but I was 60 then.
But I tell you, you guys are both look so dashing and debonair. No, really.
I mean, they got really
you
good
look
hair.
Way better than you did back then.
Yeah, who does your hair? It's amazing.
You flatter me, Robert. Yeah, Jerry's a youngster. Yeah, good.
So I want to talk about
a lot of energy.
That we got coming up, and
there's only
one person that's figured out this whole COVID thing and shows, and that's Stellar Shows with Christopher Burkhart.
What do you got going on?
Right at the same time as our show. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. We did have a show that day, didn't we, Robert? We were supposed to play in San Diego, and it got canceled. So we're postponing it. Is that correct? We're at the Rockin' Rebels in Big Sandy. That same day we were supposed to play.
Oh yeah. I think that's
yeah.
So wouldn't that have been something? Yeah.
That would have been something. Yeah.
Hey,
so, anyways, long story short is the Rockin' Rebels are playing at Campus Jacks, Newport Beach, on July 19th, Saturday from 7 till 8:30. And it's a dinner show outside with plenty of spacing so that everyone is safe. There is Deke Dickerson's band played there last week and did a phenomenal job. I think they sold it out. It was a great show. So if you haven't seen the preview for it, there is tickets that you can get ahead of time, and you can call in and reserve your seats so that you don't get sold out. And or if you can't make it, you could always watch it online. It is being streamed.
Well, so I'll be there for sure.
Dinner, drinks, everything.
Even though I'm still a little hesitant about doing any shows of our own, just because, there's still things to consider within the band. But anyway, we will be promoting your show right here on West Coast Ramble.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, friends, before we get going, we got to move on because got other shows are coming on the internet in a little bit. In fact, Jim Heath, the Jimbos are going to be coming on in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we got to mention that.
Yeah.
Everybody, as soon as this is done, in about 7 minutes from now, on stageit.com, the Reverend Horton Heat has been doing a thing with his faithful bass playing sidekick Jimbo Wallace. They do a thing about 3 times a week as the Jimbos. Yeah. I'll be there, so come join me over there, and we'll watch the Reverend Horton Heat do his thing on stageit.com.
That's right.
Cheap show.
And before we go, thank you very much, Jerry and Eddie, for coming and hanging out with us. And maybe once we can get bands in the studio, I'd love to have the Rockin' Rebels back up in the studio.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Great.
All right.
And I like how you color coordinated with the with the red there. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It just happens.
All right. Hey, we're going to see you guys later.
Guys.
Thank you very much for coming to West Coast Ramble, and we're going to get the band in here. Hopefully we can get you in here. Love it.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Hey, absolute honor and a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Eddie and Jerry, I love you guys so dearly. You have meant the world to me over my lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. So that's the end of our show. And, hey, Paul and Big Sandy, how did the show go, sirs?
Actually, I had a great time. I told you guys never to say any show was better than the other, but this ranks up. I had a lot of. Let me just say, I had a lot of fun on this episode.
Cool. Okay. And,
I love the new game, And
Yeah,
I can give
it's a
one
winner.
Quick shout out to one of our favorite fans here. I can't give his real name, but he finds this shit funny. He gave me a bunch of awesome Star Wars posters to add to my Star Wars collection behind me. So thank you so much. I can't say your name. But you're awesome.
J.A.
Maybe that might be it. I don't know.
That's gotta be.
Okay, and
That's
friends,
all I got.
before I go, I want you to make sure that you go on tomorrow at, 1 o'clock. We've got Stellar Shows is putting on the Battle of the Blues Harps, a tribute to Little Walker. It's got Kid Ramos, Scotta Beta, I don't know his name right, and Rod Piazza, Al Blake, James Harmon, a bunch of other dudes that know how to blow the harp really well. And what time does that say on that flyer? Is that 1 o'clock? 1 p.m. tomorrow.
And I will also add, stay tuned to the West Coast Ramble Facebook page for some upcoming news.
Very good.
Follow us.
I'm curious what that is, Robert. So with that in mind, friends, let's finish this show, sir. I'm going to play some music, and thank you, James Merle, for saying.
Blow me up, Tom.
Blow you up. Here we go. Stand by for the music. I'm trying to do this on the fly, guys. This isn't the easiest thing. How about a little big boy?
Fly for somewhat light guy.
Yeah, here we go. Well, anyways, thank you very much for watching West Coast Ramble, and we'll see you soon.